Who's more attractive, Joseph Stalin or Adolf Hitler? Welcome back to LookLogix, everyone. Today I'll be doing a harmony analysis comparison of Joseph Stalin from Russia and Adolf Hitler from Germany. So I have their front and side profiles landmarked on faceiq Labs. And by the way, if you guys want to check out the solo videos I did on them, then you can check that by just clicking on my channel and going to the recent videos. So this is going to be quite a fun harmony analysis. Now, one thing I'll mention before we get right into it is I have younger photos of Joseph Stalin, but I have older photos of Hitler. Now, I wasn't able to find suitable older photos of Stalin, and I wasn't able to find suitable younger photos of Hitler. So I'm going to kind of balance on the points here. Hitler was more like a 5.5 facially in his prime, and Joseph Stalin was... I will remove some points for his front profile being a little less lean to kind of bring it into the center, into like a median. So Joseph Stalin's more around the 5.6, 5.7 max, and then Hitler's around the 5.5 for the total scoring of the harmony. Now this is not including their dimorphism, their height, their status, or their fashion, or their voice, anything like that. But this is the objective harmony scoring, so we'll be able to see a nice comparison of these two gentlemen. Far from gentlemen, actually. So starting with the front ratios, we can see the comparison with A versus B. So face 1 is the blue, and then face 2 is the green, Adolf. All right, lower third proportion. Face 1 gets a 2.17 out of 10, and then face 2 gets a 10 out of 10. So we can see that with face 2, Hitler, he has a ideal lower proportion or lower third, and then Stalin has too long of a lower third. Very out of the ideal. Facial width to height ratio, I mean, this is what makes their faces look different. You can see I will add in some dimorphism and things like Stalin has a better hairline and better, nice, thick hair. You can see how much more bulbous it is on Hitler versus Stalin, and you can see how the temples narrow out a little more. GG, my cat, please. Okay, their top third. Okay, Hitler also has an ideal top third, and then Joseph Stalin gets a 5.44 out of 10. The cheekbone height, Hitler still mogs that, honestly. That's surprising, and 6.01 out of 10, so 6 out of 10 for Stalin, and then 8.29 out of 10. So Hitler's mogging Stalin so far with these single scores. Now, the deviation of the ipsilateral alar angle and jaw frontal angle, Joseph gets a 8.63 out of 10, and Hitler gets a 5.92 out of 10. So now it's switching the roles here, and we can see some ideal scores where they're both pretty similar. Yeah, the nose tip, you can see they have quite similar noses, very similar actually. And they both look pretty good. I think both their noses are quite ideal and nice. Chin to philtrum ratio. Definitely not. Hitler definitely doesn't have a Jew nose. Far from a Jew nose. Like those Jew droppy, swoopy noses. Of course. Lateral canthal tilt. Joseph gets a 10 out of 10 and Hitler gets a 4.93 out of 10. He still has... now they look almost negative here, right? But they're not negative. It's just depending on the photo. He has neutrally tilted canthals. And then Joseph Stalin definitely has nice positive tilt. Bitemporal width, 10 out of 10 for both of them. And then interpupillary mouth width ratio. Hitler gets a 4.03 out of 10. So less out of the ideal. And then Stalin gets a 10 out of 10 comparing their mouth to their eye width ratio. Nose tip position is a 2.27 out of 10 for Hitler and a 10 out of 10 for Stalin. So overall, there's our front ratios with their side ratios. And by the way, guys, if you want to use this app for yourself to see what your full harmony analysis is for your face, you get to see all your scores like we're going over and their key strengths and weaknesses. Then you can use my code 20% off with the code LookLogix. I'll put a link in the description in the comment section off any plan, and you can get your side profile marked for free. Why not just try it and see how it is? So with the side ratios, our first measurement is our recession relative to Frankfurt plane. This is extremely low for Stalin, a 0.65 out of 10, and then a 9.47 out of 10 for Hitler. And you can just see his side profile, pretty similar. You can see how masculinized the brow ridge of Hitler is. And then his nose is actually not that bad. There's very little protrusion of the rhinion, which is this part of the nose, that cartilage. And then the ear isn't too bad. Overall, not too bad. Definitely a lot of subcutaneous excess fat, or visceral as well, on the inside of this neck region. So if he leans that out, both of them have a little bit of that later on, then that will really ideal it. He has a lot less recession, probably due to his steak tartare that he fed his soldiers and himself. The nasal labial angle is a 10 out of 10 for Hitler and a 2.11 out of 10 for Joseph Stalin. Submental cervical angle is a 5.5 for Joseph and then a 0.13 for Hitler. That is crazy. And then all their lip positions are pretty similar. Joseph does have a better region for his upper lip S-line and lower lip E-line positions. But overall, they're pretty similar. Brow ridge inclination angle, they both have a 10 out of 10 here. You can see this is definitely flatter, but it's smoother, and then this is more bulbous. However, it's more masculinized. Gonian angle, or gonial angle, is about 10 out of 10 for both of them. Mandibular plane angle is a 10 out of 10. And then in their orbital vector, this is an interesting one. Hitler gets a 2.77 out of 10, and Stalin gets a 10 out of 10. So there we go, guys. This is the analysis harmony comparison of Joseph Stalin versus Hitler. Who mogged better? Who was more attractive? Well, if you're including dimorphism and height and the status and their fashion and other things like that, then it was a Joseph Stalin. And this is counting the prime. So looking at some candid photos of Hitler when he was in his prime, they're both very similar. It just depends, the side profile is higher than Stalin here. This is even Hitler being slightly older. And this is just due to a combination of his ratios. So who really is more attractive? They're very similar. They're slightly above average. Most of them in their harmony and their prime harmony was about a 5.8. So a 5.6 for Adolf Hitler and then a 5.8 for Joseph Stalin. So Joseph Stalin was more attractive overall. But that's all he had over Hitler. That's it. His key strengths are his ideal jaw width, balanced jaw shape, balanced nasal profile. And then you can pause the video and check out the others if you'd like to check it out. And then for Hitler, ideal ramus length is one of his main ones. I want to show you the ramus, how much longer that is. You can see how this goes straight down as well. That's ideal. And then finally, their key areas of improvement are the long mid-face for Hitler, mandibular recession for Stalin, under-projected chin for Joseph as well, long mid-face, round neck region, and insufficient eye tilt. Overall, here are the rest. You can pause this if you'd like to check it out. And this will really tell you, flat eyebrows, droopy nose, and it's very, very minimal. It's really almost not noticeable. I almost caught myself saying the word nose. Medium set cheekbones, overly rounded eye shape, protruded ears. Yeah, so there we go, guys. This is the harmony analysis. Thank you all for watching. And if you'd like to try the app for yourself, 20% off with the code LookLogix. I'll put a comment down below and in the description with the link. And if you'd like me to rate anyone else, please feel free to leave a comment down below. And I'll see you all in the next video.